Hello, and a very warm welcome to everyone tuning in today, both our loyal listeners and those joining us for the first time. I'm Ryan, and I'm thrilled to have you with us on this exciting episode of Speak Up. Today, we're diving into a topic that can really transform your English journey. 10 common English mistakes and how to avoid them. Throughout our conversation, we'll pinpoint those little errors that slow down your progress and share simple, effective methods to overcome them. If you've ever wondered why you sometimes struggle to speak English fluently or feel held back during everyday conversations, you're not alone. This episode is crafted especially for you. Whether you're just starting out with English for beginners or you're looking to build that real-life confidence you need to communicate effectively at home or in public. We're here to help you learn English fast, improve your fluency, and eliminate those persistent missteps that often go unnoticed. Thank you for choosing to spend your valuable time with us. We promise to make every minute worthwhile. So, get comfortable, and let's embark on this journey together to elevate your English skills and boost your confidence.
Hi everyone, I'm Priya, and it's a delight to greet you on this episode of Speak Up. I echo Ryan's excitement as we set the stage for an in-depth exploration of common errors that many learners face while mastering English. Today, we'll uncover 10 mistakes, from subtle grammatical slip-ups to misused vocabulary, that can obstruct your path to clearer, more confident communication. We understand that every minute you invest here is precious, and we're committed to turning this time into a high-quality learning experience that supports your goal of improving English fluency. Whether you're aiming to learn English at home, engage in daily conversations, or simply want to polish your language skills to speak English confidently, our insights are designed just for you. We encourage you to listen closely, interact with our content, and share your thoughts along the way. Stay tuned as we reveal practical strategies and fresh perspectives that not only spotlight these pitfalls, but also guide you on how to avoid them. Thank you for joining us, and let's make this a journey of transformation and fun learning together.
Let's talk about mistake number 1, the incorrect use of tenses. As we continue from our introduction, it's essential to understand that mastering tenses is not just a grammar exercise, it's the backbone of clear and effective communication. When you mix up past, present, and future tenses, your listeners might struggle to follow your story, making it harder to learn English fast and confidently. Imagine trying to describe your day and accidentally shifting from "I went to the market" to "I go to the market" in the same sentence. It creates confusion and interrupts the natural flow of conversation. For many English for beginners, getting tenses right can seem daunting, but remember, practice and consistency are key. One helpful strategy is to create a simple timeline of events in your mind or on paper before speaking. This method allows you to visualize the sequence of actions, ensuring that your verb forms match the context. Additionally, using online tools or reference guides under the banner of English Grammar Made Easy can empower you to fix English grammar mistakes as they occur. By focusing on one tense at a time during your daily practice sessions, you'll gradually build the confidence to use each tense appropriately, turning what seems like a complicated rule into a natural part of your language skills.
Building on what Ryan just mentioned, let's dive deeper into why these tense errors are such a stumbling block and explore some practical tips to overcome them. When you mix up tenses, it's like trying to tell a story without a clear timeline. Your audience might miss the beginning, middle, or end of your narrative. One effective technique is to pause and think about the time frame you're referring to before you speak. For instance, if you're recounting an event that happened yesterday, stick to the past tense throughout your description. A useful practice is to write down a few sentences about your day and then review them, checking whether the verbs consistently reflect the correct time. This exercise not only helps you fix English grammar mistakes, but also reinforces your understanding of verb forms. Also, don't hesitate to use online exercises or grammar apps specifically designed for English for beginners. They offer interactive lessons that make learning feel less like a chore and more like a fun challenge. By embracing these techniques, you transform your learning journey into a step-by-step process where every mistake is a chance to improve and every correction builds your fluency further.
Now, Let's shift our focus to mistake number 2, subject-verb agreement errors. This is another area where many learners find themselves stumbling, especially when sentences become complex or when the subject isn't immediately obvious. Consider a simple sentence like, "The dog barks at strangers." Even though the meaning is clear, the error in subject-verb agreement can undermine your credibility. It's crucial to ensure that singular subjects are paired with singular verbs and plural subjects with plural verbs. One common pitfall is when the subject is separated from the verb by additional descriptive phrases. For example, in the sentence, "The list of items are on the table," the subject list is singular, so the correct form should be "is on the table." By paying close attention to the structure of your sentences, you can avoid such missteps. Always take a moment to identify the true subject and then decide if the verb should end in S or not. For those looking to fix English grammar mistakes, this practice can be immensely helpful. Remember, every time you adjust your sentence structure, you're not only refining your language skills, but also paving the way for smoother, more confident conversations, something every learner, especially English for beginners, can benefit from as they work toward fluent, error-free speech.
Continuing our discussion on subject-verb agreement, I want to provide you with a clear, step-by-step method to ensure that your subjects and verbs always match perfectly. First, when constructing a sentence, identify the main subject. Sometimes the subject is hidden behind a modifier or a phrase, so it's important to isolate it before choosing the verb form. Next, check whether your subject is singular or plural. This step might sound basic, but even experienced speakers sometimes overlook it, especially in more complex sentences. For example, in sentences like, "A bouquet of flowers brightens the room," the subject bouquet is singular, despite flowers being plural, so the verb remains in its singular form. Another useful tip is to practice rewriting sentences from your daily life, ensuring you match each subject with the correct verb form. Over time, these exercises will reinforce your understanding and help you internalize the rule without constant second-guessing. Utilizing resources that promise English grammar made easy can be a game changer. These guides often provide exercises that simulate real-life scenarios, making it easier to fix English grammar mistakes as you learn. With consistent practice and careful attention to detail, you can overcome these common pitfalls and significantly boost your command of English, making your conversations smoother and more natural.
Let's dive into mistake number 3, the misuse of articles, those little words a, an, and the that often seem insignificant but play a huge role in everyday conversation. When we talk about articles, even a small error can completely change the meaning of a sentence, causing confusion for both the speaker and the listener. For instance, saying, "I saw a dog in park," instead of "I saw a dog in the park," might leave your audience wondering which dog you're referring to or if you meant any dog at all. Articles help specify whether you're mentioning something in general or something specific. For many learners, especially those who are just starting with English for beginners, the challenge is to know when to use a or an for non-specific references and the when you want to point out a particular object or person. One practical way to tackle these errors is to slow down and think about whether your noun is something new to the listener or something they're already aware of. Regular reading and listening exercises can reinforce these distinctions and ultimately help you fix English grammar mistakes. Remember, mastering these tiny words can significantly boost your clarity in daily conversations. I encourage you to practice by writing a few sentences daily and checking if your articles correctly match the nouns, so you can gradually build a stronger foundation in your language skills.
Continuing from Ryan's insights on articles, let's move on to mistake number 4. Incorrect preposition usage. Prepositions might be small, but they are mighty when it comes to conveying relationships in time, place, and direction. Many learners often struggle with words like in, on, at, or even phrases such as by the time and for a while. A common error is translating directly from your native language, which can lead to sentences that sound awkward in English. For example, someone might say, "I arrived at the station," instead of the natural, "I arrived at the station." The key is to internalize these rules so that you no longer have to mentally translate each phrase. Essentially, learning how to stop translating in your head. One effective tip is to listen to native speakers in everyday contexts, such as through English listening practice or watching your favorite TV shows, and then mimic their usage. Over time, this will help you understand the subtle differences and use prepositions naturally, without overthinking every word. By focusing on the context and practicing with real-life examples, you can reduce these mistakes and boost your overall fluency.
Now that we've introduced the challenges with articles and prepositions, let's delve deeper into practical ways to overcome these hurdles, particularly focusing on prepositions. Many of us find ourselves stuck because our first instinct is to translate directly from our mother tongue, which often leads to errors. To counter this, try engaging in targeted exercises where you write down common expressions and then review how native speakers use them. For instance, instead of saying, "I discussed about the matter," you should simply say, "I discussed the matter." It might seem like a small change, but it makes a big difference in clarity and naturalness. Another effective method is to record yourself speaking and then compare your sentences to those in English podcasts or shows. This reflective practice not only highlights where you might be misusing prepositions, but also helps you fix English grammar mistakes over time. Remember, the goal is to internalize these structures so well that your mind naturally selects the right preposition, freeing you from the constant need to translate in your head. By making these adjustments and practicing consistently, you're setting yourself up for smoother, more fluent conversations that sound natural to any native speaker.
To further cement these ideas, let's discuss some hands-on strategies that you can apply right away to master the correct use of prepositions. One effective approach is to create simple fill-in-the-blank exercises for yourself. For example, write out sentences and leave out the prepositions, then fill in the gaps by recalling the correct choices from your listening practice or reading materials. Also, try pairing this exercise with a short self-review. After speaking or writing a few sentences, check if you've used the right prepositions by comparing them with trusted language resources. Another tip is to note down phrases that you encounter in daily life, like "at the market," "in the morning," or "on the way," and repeat them until they become second nature. This method can help you stop overthinking each preposition and encourage you to use them naturally, making your speech more fluid and confident. By actively practicing these techniques, you're not just learning rules, you're training your brain to operate in English without the constant translation from your native language. With time and dedication, these practices will become an integral part of your communication style, helping you overcome common pitfalls and communicate with clarity and precision.
Let's move on to segment 4, where we tackle vocabulary and idiom missteps. Our first focus here is on mistake number 5, misusing English idioms and phrases. One common issue many learners face is trying to translate idioms literally from their native language. For example, if you directly translate an idiom from your language into English, the result might not make sense at all. Idioms are culturally rooted expressions that carry meanings far beyond the individual words used. This is why relying on literal translations can lead to confusion and errors in your conversation. Instead of translating word for word, try to immerse yourself in English through methods like reading short stories or listening to narratives. When you learn English with stories, you get a natural sense of how idioms and phrases are used contextually. By exposing yourself to real-life situations in books or videos, you'll gradually understand the intended meaning and proper usage of these expressions. This immersive approach not only enhances your grasp of English idioms and phrases, but also helps you speak more naturally without the constant interruption of translating in your head. Keep a journal of new idioms and practice them in sentences until they become a part of your active vocabulary.
Building on Ryan's points, let's dive a little deeper into the challenge of mastering idioms. Many learners struggle because idioms often do not follow conventional grammar rules, and their meanings can be counterintuitive if taken literally. For instance, the phrase "kick the bucket" might confuse someone if they try to interpret each word individually. Instead, Focus on the overall context in which these phrases are used. One effective technique is to incorporate English media, such as movies or podcasts, where idioms are used naturally. This way, you not only hear the correct intonation and usage, but also learn the cultural context behind them. Try discussing these idioms with a friend or in an online forum where native speakers participate. When you interact and ask questions, you reinforce your understanding and gradually begin to use these expressions without hesitation. Remember, the goal is to let these phrases become a natural part of your language toolkit, so don't be discouraged by initial difficulties. With regular practice and exposure, you'll soon find that idioms become less of a mystery and more of a valuable asset in your communication.
Now let's talk about mistake number 6, using inappropriate or overly complex vocabulary. Sometimes, in an effort to sound sophisticated, learners might opt for unnecessarily complicated words that disrupt the flow of conversation. This can lead to confusion and even miscommunication. Instead of trying to impress with rare words, it's often better to keep your language clear and concise. An effective strategy here is to use an English vocabulary builder, a tool that can help you learn and expand your vocabulary gradually. Rather than memorizing obscure terms, focus on learning words that are commonly used in everyday conversation. Think about it as building a solid foundation first, and then slowly adding more advanced words as you become more comfortable. By doing so, you ensure that your speech remains natural and easy to understand, and you minimize the risk of making mistakes that could derail your message. Using a well-structured vocabulary builder app or online resource can provide you with regular practice, quizzes, and even personalized feedback on your progress. This approach not only helps you fix English grammar mistakes, but also teaches you how to expand your English vocabulary in a way that's both effective and manageable.
Expanding on that, let's explore some practical tips to overcome the pitfalls of overly complex vocabulary. One key is to always consider your audience. When speaking in everyday situations, using simpler language can often communicate your ideas more effectively than resorting to high-level words. Start by identifying a few words each week that you'd like to learn, but ensure they're relevant to your daily conversations. A useful method is to incorporate these new words into short, meaningful sentences. You could even use a digital tool or an English vocabulary builder that tracks your progress and suggests practical exercises tailored to your level. Moreover, try to engage with content that challenges you just enough without overwhelming you. This could be through reading articles, watching news segments, or listening to podcasts that explain topics clearly. Over time, this steady exposure will help you understand how to expand your English vocabulary effectively while keeping your language authentic and relatable. By integrating these habits into your daily routine, you're not only improving your command over vocabulary, but also gaining the confidence to express yourself more naturally and fluently in every conversation.
Let's move on to segment 5, where we address common pitfalls in pronunciation and speaking fluency. Starting with mistake number 7, poor pronunciation and accent issues. One of the most frequent hurdles for many learners is mispronouncing words or stressing syllables incorrectly. For example, words like comfortable often get shortened or mispronounced, making it difficult for native speakers to understand you. This happens because we sometimes overlook the importance of proper enunciation, which is key to sounding natural. To help you sound like a native speaker, it's important to incorporate dedicated English pronunciation tips into your daily practice. I recommend practicing with tongue twisters, recording your speech, and then comparing it with native speakers to identify subtle differences. Additionally, engaging in English accent training by listening to podcasts, watching English news, or following online tutorials can make a huge difference. These exercises not only help in reducing accent issues, but also boost your overall confidence. Remember, mastering pronunciation is essential if you want to speak English confidently. These strategies help train your ear and mouth for clearer, smoother speech.
Building on Ryan's insights, let's delve deeper into overcoming pronunciation challenges. A common mistake is not giving enough attention to the rhythm and intonation of the language. Many learners focus solely on individual words but miss the musicality of English. where stress patterns and tone play a crucial role. To improve, try to listen actively to native speakers and mimic their natural cadence. One effective method is to shadow a speaker by repeating their words immediately after hearing them. This shadowing technique for fluency not only enhances your pronunciation, but also trains you to speak in a rhythm that feels natural. Furthermore, consistent practice using resources that offer English pronunciation tips can lead you to better understand subtle sound differences, especially in minimal pairs, words that sound similar but have different meanings. Emphasize clarity over speed at first, and over time, your accent will become less of an obstacle. With persistence, you'll notice that your ability to articulate and stress words appropriately will improve, empowering you to speak English confidently and effectively.
Now, let's shift our focus to mistake number 8, the overuse of fillers and hesitations. Fillers like ah, or might seem harmless, but they often disrupt the flow of speech and can detract from your message. These verbal crutches are typically a result of nervousness or a momentary lapse while trying to gather your thoughts. To speak English without hesitation, one effective method is to incorporate deliberate pauses instead of defaulting to fillers. The shadowing technique for fluency can be particularly helpful here. Listen to short audio clips and repeat them, which trains you to maintain a smooth rhythm without unnecessary pauses. Additionally, practicing with structured exercises where you record your speech can help you identify when and why you use fillers. Over time, as you become more comfortable with your spoken English, these pauses will become a natural part of your conversation rather than awkward fillers. By focusing on clarity and reducing unnecessary hesitations, you pave the way to speak English confidently. This practice not only enhances fluency, but also allows your ideas to be communicated more clearly and effectively.
Expanding on Ryan's points, let's discuss some additional strategies to overcome the habit of using fillers. When you catch yourself saying or ah, try pausing silently to collect your thoughts instead of filling the space with extraneous words. Practicing in front of a mirror or even recording your conversations can provide valuable insights into your speaking patterns. The goal is to create a natural flow in your speech, so focus on delivering your message with deliberate pauses that emphasize clarity. Also, incorporate exercises like the shadowing technique for fluency, where you repeat what you hear in real time. This not only improves your pace, but also helps you internalize natural sentence rhythms. Consistent practice in these methods will gradually enable you to speak English without hesitation. By reducing fillers and refining your pronunciation, you'll soon notice that your speech becomes more confident and engaging. Embrace these techniques, and with time, you will be able to speak English confidently, delivering your thoughts clearly and with ease.
Let's now explore segment 6, where we focus on listening and comprehension challenges, starting with mistake number 9, overtranslation and the lack of immersion. Many of us tend to translate every word in our head, which not only slows down our fluency, but also disrupts the natural flow of our conversation. When you're busy mentally converting phrases, you miss the rhythm and context of the language, making it harder to catch the subtle cues that native speakers use. Instead of relying on word-for-word translation, it's crucial to learn how to think in English. Shifting your mindset in this way allows you to process ideas more rapidly and naturally, reducing the time spent on mental translation. Alongside this, incorporating regular English listening practice into your daily routine can work wonders. For example, try listening to short audio clips or podcasts where the conversation is natural and unforced. This immersive exposure trains your brain to pick up on context, intonation, and cultural nuances without the crutch of translation. As you gradually transition to thinking directly in English, you'll find that your overall comprehension and fluency improve, making your interactions more spontaneous and less laborious.
Expanding on what Ryan mentioned, the habit of over-translating in your mind can seriously impede your progress because it forces you to focus on individual words rather than the overall meaning. This constant back-and-forth translation is a barrier to developing a natural command of the language. To truly overcome this, it's essential to immerse yourself in English as much as possible. Engaging in consistent English listening practice is one of the most effective ways to do this. When you listen to native speakers in various settings, be it through podcasts, news broadcasts, or casual conversations, you begin to absorb the language patterns and rhythms without deliberate translation. I encourage you to actively practice how to think in English by challenging yourself with short listening exercises and then summarizing what you heard in your own words. This method not only boosts your listening skills, but also gradually trains you to process language intuitively. Over time, you'll find that your ability to understand native English speakers improves significantly as your mind becomes more accustomed to the natural flow and structure of the language.
Let's now shift our focus to bridging the gap between your current level and a more native-like comprehension. One effective approach is to engage in activities that help you better understand native English speakers. For instance, you might set aside time each day to listen to conversations, interviews, or even movies without subtitles, allowing your brain to adapt to the natural speed and accent variations. In doing so, you're not just passively listening but actively learning how to think in English. This means processing language as a whole rather than dissecting each word. Additionally, try mimicking what you hear, which reinforces correct pronunciation and helps with intonation. A simple exercise is to pause a video or audio segment and then repeat the sentence aloud, gradually improving your fluency and retention. Such consistent exposure is a cornerstone of effective English listening practice. The more you expose yourself to authentic spoken English, the better you'll be at deciphering context and picking up on idiomatic expressions, which are key to understanding native speakers effortlessly.
To further enhance your listening and comprehension skills, I recommend incorporating structured yet enjoyable practices into your daily routine. Start with short, manageable segments of native audio and try to engage with the material actively. Ask yourself questions about the content, or jot down key phrases that capture the essence of the conversation. This active engagement is a powerful way to learn how to think in English naturally. Additionally, consider joining online language groups or participating in virtual discussions where you can listen and respond in real time. These interactive sessions offer a dual benefit. Not only do you get to refine your English listening practice, but you also build confidence in understanding and conversing with native speakers. Over time, such immersive experiences will help you bridge the comprehension gap, making it easier to understand native English speakers in various contexts. By consistently challenging yourself with real-life listening exercises, you'll notice a marked improvement in your fluency and overall communication, empowering you to engage more confidently in any English-speaking environment.
Let's now wrap up our discussion, where we tackle the final mistake, neglecting regular practice and feedback, and explore the digital tools and strategies that can supercharge your English learning journey. One major pitfall many learners face is not taking full advantage of the digital resources available today. Without regular practice, it's hard to maintain progress, and your newfound skills can quickly fade away. Imagine missing out on opportunities to engage in daily English conversation simply because you haven't set aside time to practice or experiment with new tools. I encourage you to incorporate the best apps to learn English into your routine, whether it's interactive quizzes, real-time chat groups, or even virtual language exchange sessions. These apps are designed to help you learn English fast by offering structured lessons, instant feedback, and even gamified learning experiences. Additionally, make it a habit to listen to an English podcast for learning while commuting or relaxing, which can provide you with both exposure and practical listening exercises. Over time, these consistent efforts can build a robust language habit, making your progress both steady and noticeable. For all of you, whether you're an English practice for introverts or someone who is stepping into English for professionals, these digital tools can be tailored to fit your needs and schedule. So, don't underestimate the power of daily engagement and technology in your language learning journey.
Expanding on Ryan's thoughts, it's important to realize that consistent practice, combined with the right feedback, is key to making lasting improvements in your English skills. Many learners miss out on regular practice simply because they aren't aware of the digital tools available. For example, by using the best apps to learn English, you can receive instant corrections and personalized recommendations, which makes your study sessions much more effective. I suggest setting aside specific times each day to engage in daily English conversation. This could be with a friend, a study group, or even through self-talk where you describe your daily activities. Also, consider integrating methods like listening to an English podcast for learning or watching educational videos on platforms like Netflix, where you can learn English with movies. These methods not only build your vocabulary and grammar skills, but also immerse you in the natural rhythm and flow of the language. Whether you are preparing for professional opportunities or just aiming to improve your everyday communication, making regular practice a habit will bridge the gap between what you know and how you perform in real-world conversations. Embrace these digital strategies and watch how they transform your learning experience.
Now, let's discuss some practical strategies to integrate these digital tools into your daily routine. One actionable tip is to start your day by setting a small, achievable goal. Perhaps a short conversation session or a 5-minute practice using one of the best apps to learn English. Over time, these small efforts add up to significant improvements. I also recommend leveraging interactive platforms that host live discussions or Q&A sessions. These not only offer immediate feedback, but also simulate real-life scenarios that are crucial for developing fluency. For instance, listening to an English podcast for learning during your commute can help you absorb new vocabulary and understand different accents, which is a step forward in learning English fast. Additionally, if you're someone who prefers a more solitary approach, there are plenty of resources for English practice for introverts that allow you to practice independently while still receiving constructive feedback through digital means. No matter what your learning style may be, incorporating these tools into your daily routine will ensure that you're always progressing, making your journey toward fluent, confident English both efficient and enjoyable.
As we bring this segment and our entire episode to a close, let's take a moment to reflect on the importance of integrating technology and daily practice into your language learning routine. Neglecting regular practice and feedback is one of the biggest mistakes that can hold you back from reaching your full potential in English. By consistently engaging in daily English conversation, using the best apps to learn English, and tuning into an English podcast for learning, you set yourself up for a transformative learning experience. Whether you're in English practice for introverts, a professional sharpening your skills, or simply someone who wants to communicate more effectively, these digital tools and practice strategies are designed to help you learn English fast and confidently. We hope you found this episode insightful, and that you're inspired to incorporate these tips into your daily routine. Thank you for spending this quality time with us on Speak Up. Keep practicing, stay curious, and we'll see you in our next episode with more exciting tips and techniques to elevate your English skills.